you'll be dead to me.
Everton 3, Crystal Palace 1. You happy with the result?
Yeah.
In general, you're happy with the performance, but...
What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and I'm here with a guest. Do you want to introduce yourself, mate? Let everyone know who you are, what the channel is.
Hi, my name is Samuel, and on YouTube I'm known as Evertonian TV, and I'm delighted to be on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, mate. I really appreciate it. It's good. I've been doing sort of a guest a week, and it's great to have you on. It really is. We've spoke about this a few times, and I remember you interviewing me in the Park End after one of the games this season. So
yeah,
interesting. So what made you want to start YouTube then, Sam?
Well, I was inspired by people like Michael or Toffee TV, because I think one thing I really love about football fan channels is that they give their opinions, and I think that's the one thing I really wanted to do when starting this channel. And I wanted to join other people like Michael to get interviews with people like him, to get their opinions on matches or the latest Everton news. And I've been able to do it and enjoy it. I think there's still a lot for me to learn. I haven't always been consistent on my channel, but I'm always trying my best to try and get people like Michael onto the channel.
Yeah, and equally, you know, look, there's a lot of Evertonian content makers that will support you. I'm sure if you message Toffee TV, I'm sure they'd be keen to do a Skype with you. I know that I will always support you. Whenever you need me, I'll be there. The Mighty Blues, he'll be the same. You've
Absolutely.
got John, who's also on my channel. So, yeah, I mean, we'll always back you. And what's good with yourself is obviously, you know, you've got a similar sort of dimension to me. You're not local to Everton, and that means it's got its own demographic of people, its own type of people who will watch the channel. Obviously, along with some real, you know, boyhood blues and some real passionate blues. But it does mean you'll have a local influence as well with your channel, which is always nice. You know, I have a lot of fans, Birmingham Everton fans, who watch my channel, for example, and you'll have exactly the same where you are. So it's very, very, very positive to do that. So, yeah, first and foremost, then, what's your take on everything that's going on currently? Obviously, it's affected football massively and the world itself. So how are you?
Yeah, well, obviously it's very boring without the football. It hurts to have no Everton. You know, we don't know how long this can go on for. It could go on for months, maybe a few more weeks. We don't know. But you know, I'm glad that we're still focusing on the football. Going back to fan channels, it's obviously a very tough time for fan channels. Like, what do they do? Luckily enough, there's still plenty of transfers and so on going on at the moment, and I'm glad that people are getting on well. You know, it's a very tough time for all of us, but I'm glad that we're all getting along together and we're still able to gather, maybe not face to face, but over Skype calls and so on. So yeah, it's tough, but we'll all get through it, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird actually, because I think you're spot on. I think a lot of the content creators out there are actually there is less things to talk about. You know, there's no match previews, there's no match reactions. There's nothing to really comment on apart from the games that Everton sort of re-show on their YouTube channel. So content creators are coming together to create content, which is the fundamental of YouTube and Twitch and all of these programs, which is brilliant. You know, that is really good, and this is why we're together now. So what's your take on the season so far then, Sam? What's, you know, is there any standout performances, any real bad ones? What's your take?
Well, obviously we started the season quite poorly. I think Marco Silva took it the wrong way. You made it very clear, especially after the Millwall defeat, that you didn't think Marco Silva was experienced enough to take Everton forward. And you were almost proved wrong near the end of the season that we got some really good results. We stopped Liverpool winning the league. We won against United 4-0, so on. But this season, you were right because he took it the wrong way, wrong tactics, wrong lineups, and that cost us at the start of the season. And from August to September, we were awful. But we have to appreciate Duncan Ferguson, who came in and
Yep.
made that vital change for us. Because I think if it weren't for him, I don't know where we'd be. Because obviously, we got some great results in there. Chelsea, Manchester United. Unlucky to get knocked out in the Carabao Cup. That would have been a great night for us had we had gone through. We got a decent draw against Arsenal. And then Carlo Ancelotti came in. I think if we took a wrong step, took Mourinho or David Moyes, this season could have been very different. We could still have been in a relegation battle. But Carlo's come in. He's changed the philosophy. He's changed the kind of style of football, brought a new culture to it, and there's still a lot to go. You said again that this season's a bit of a knockoff because Carlo's only been in for a few months now, and he needs time to get through to the lads. And I think next season will definitely be up there with the likes of Chelsea and United, and I think we'll be competing top six next season.
Yeah, I completely agree. And actually, yeah, I mean, I made the point about Carlo Ancelotti, and equally, I did make the point about Marco Silva last year. So, um, it, for me, Marco Silva, it was really difficult because Marco Silva, at one point, was playing fantastic football, was playing a really aggressive style of football. I think we lost 3 games in 13. We went to Spurs and got results, Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea. We played really well towards the end of the season. And it looked positive going into this season. Then I looked at the recruitment and I made a video that I got slated for about Everton's summer transfer window. And, I'm not going to say I was proven right, but I think some of the bigger signings that we made, some of the big money moves, haven't worked. Iwobi, for example, I spend a lot of time talking about Iwobi. I've got nothing against him personally, but he was never worth that value of money that we paid for him. Never.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he was never going to be as good as a Wilfred Zaha or a Decore, who we'd been linked with. So it was very disappointing. On top of that, we needed a centre-back. We didn't bring a centre-back in. So it was difficult for Marco Silva, in my opinion, to lose, especially Zuma, lose some real quality in the middle of the park, and it not be replaced. They brought in Gabami. He hasn't played. Andre Gomez also got injured. So Marco Silva had a tough time of it, but what he never had was the experience that we talked about. He has never managed a top 4 team. He's never managed a team that is fundamentally the best in the Premier League and knows what it takes to get them players to that level. Whereas Carlo Ancelotti has and does and understands it. He knows what he needs to do. And that's why this appointment of getting a top quality class manager is possibly 4 years later than what was planned. We had Martinez, and when Martinez went, that was the time we should have gone and got a top manager, and we didn't. And Mashiri's learnt his lesson from that because fundamentally, I think we are 4 years behind in his plan. But we keep smiling, and as you say, next season will be a completely different season. So anyway, talking about that, next season, who do you want to see in the door? What transfers do you want to see in and out?
Well, certainly there's a few outs. For example, Martina and Umar Nias. I think both those players be out because Umar's out of contract, so we have no plans to give him a new one. Kuko, we need to get out the door. I've always questioned Gylfi when we signed him. I thought the price tag was very hefty. There's only really out of the 3 seasons he's had at Everton, there's only one season that he's really impressed me, which was last season. This season, I think he's been a bit lackluster. He's had one or two good performances, but he shouldn't be in that team, in my opinion. Same goes for Theo Walcott.
Sorry about that. I had to take a phone call. So where was we? But before we cut off, we were talking about Theo Walcott. I think you were talking about the right midfield. So yeah. What about Theo?
I was saying I think we need somebody else apart from Theo out on that right mid. The suggestion is we were linked with Belotti, and there's some suggestions that maybe we can take out Richarlison, put Belotti in, or Moise Kean in alongside Dominic, and have Richarlison out on the right mid. But in my opinion, that doesn't really work, because would you really change up that duo up front at the moment when they're in top form? I really rate someone like Belotti, but I don't think we need him. It's a completely unneeded signing, in my opinion. So we need somebody out on that right mid, because Theo doesn't cut it for most Evertonians. I don't mind him in that team, but I don't think he should be in that team. So whether we can get someone like James Rodriguez or Jack Grealish, I think that would work really well for Everton. Whether they replace the likes of Theo or Gylfi, two players who I think are a bit hit and miss. I think, we've got a top quality squad, and that's including Gabriel, should we get him, which I think we will.
Yeah, I agree. I think Theo is, I'm going to say best of a bad bunch, but it's actually difficult for me to say that, because I actually think I'd have probably played Morales or probably even Balassi over Theo Walcott.
You'd say, would you put Iwobi over Theo, or is that?
I think they're both crap. I think they're both really bad players.
Yeah.
I don't rate either of them. I never really have. So would I play Iwobi over Walcott? Probably not. Only because Walcott's got more pace, and I think he offers a little bit more going forward than Iwobi does.
Yeah. Well, I think the only reason Iwobi gets off a bit is because he's a young lad and still needs time to. I mean, when we signed him from Arsenal, we knew what we were getting. Arsenal fans told us that he can have a great match. On his best day, he's outstanding, one of the best players on the pitch. But when he's having a slow day, he's one of the worst players on the pitch. And that's what we saw at Arsenal. He's a very inconsistent player. And that goes the same for Theo Walcott.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think the issue with Iwobi is stats speak for themselves. And I think he scored 9 goals in 3 years at Arsenal.
Yeah.
That's not a return that's going to get you in the top 4, which was, in my opinion, Everton's aspirations at the start of the season. It has to have been after the finish we had at the end of last season. So it had to have been top 4. That should have been the target. And we should be where Leicester are. Iwobi doesn't scream top 4 signing to me. It screams aiming for top 6. And I just think it was wrong. If you are going to finish above the teams like Arsenal, like Man United, you do not go and sign the players that sit on their bench. You go and sign their best players. And that, don't get me wrong, it's difficult for Everton.
Absolutely.
But it's not as difficult now with Carlo Ancelotti. So, yeah, I agree. I think we need I definitely think we need a centre-back. We need a new right-back. We need a new right winger, I would say. We need a centre mid, if not 2, with the amount of people that will probably leave. I wouldn't be disappointed if Pickford went either. I would like Pickford to go. I'm fed up with Pickford. But all in all, the Everton squad has got the beginnings of a really, really good side. And I'm excited. I'm certainly excited. So Um, just ask you just a couple more questions. Then, what's your favourite memory of Goodison Park? You know, something that's really affected you or made you, give you goosebumps.
Well, this is not really a fond memory, but my first match, even though I started supporting Everton in 2016, the first match I went to was 2015 against Leicester City. Not a great match, very just a shocking performance in general. But I think my favourite match is either the Everton 4 Man City nil or the Everton 4 Man United nil. It's always good to get a win over the Manx, ain't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, and both of those games we were phenomenal. The way Koeman set us up against Man City was a little bit odd, I thought, at the start, but
Absolutely.
it was phenomenal, and obviously Tom Davies scoring right at the end of the game, and Ademola Lookman, if you remember, um,
Yes.
really put the icing on the cake. The Man United game was a little bit different. It was absolutely glorious sunshine last
Mhm.
Easter,
Yeah.
uh, and we absolutely outplayed Man United all over the park. And actually, I'll go as far as saying that, along with the 3-0 against Arsenal a few years ago, um, was the best Everton performance I'd probably seen.
Decades.
Well, probably,
Well, probably
probably,
not. But
yeah,
in recent
yeah,
years.
yeah, probably about 5 years. It really, really hit home, and we were able to give Lukaku a little bit of stick as well, which I enjoyed. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was, yeah, good. What's your worst memory then?
Um, right. My first ever Merseyside derby back in 2016. We had this. It's quite interesting because this is my first derby, and my church minister is a Liverpool supporter, and at the time I didn't really acknowledge the fact that Everton and Liverpool hated each other. So because this was around the time I started supporting Everton, so I didn't really know that there was such a thing as a Merseyside derby. So we wanted to give our church minister some stick by winning against Liverpool, hopefully. Um, and we had a few of our American cousins come over. Some of them are United and Liverpool supporters. One in particular, my auntie, was a Liverpool supporter sitting in the Goodison end. So she wasn't sitting in the away end.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't in the stand she was in at the time, but actually, another memory was I went down to try and get some food, but the shops had been closed, and somebody asked me, "Well, what do you think we'll get a draw out of this?" And this was 5 minutes before at the end of the match, and I was like, "Well, it looks like it." The moment I go back up to my seat, hits the post and rebounds back to Mane. And
Yeah.
from what I heard, my auntie started celebrating, uh, but she was singing in the Everton stand. Luckily enough, she didn't get in trouble for it,
Mm.
but obviously that could have been a different story. But that match just started to I grew a hatred for Liverpool after that because the way their fans treated us or celebrated against us. I mean, it's understandable. It won a Merseyside derby, but at that time I just despised it and it hurt.
Yeah, I mean they do always tend to get the rub of the green. There's been a few situations that one hit the post, bounces to Mane, goes in. Was it last season when the ball from Pickford, I think he tries to catch it instead of punching it. He bounces it onto the bar and Origi scores. Um, yeah, there's been a few of those to be honest.
That's that's kind of where it went wrong for Pickford because it was at that moment where, from then on forward, he's always been given stick. And I think, if he wasn't an England international, would we be criticizing him as much as we are now, or would we be quite critical of him?
Yeah, that's a very fair point to be honest, and I don't know the answer until he's not an England international, and obviously they push the Euros back. I certainly think, as an Everton fan, and this might sound harsh, but I certainly think if I was the England manager, I'd be starting Nick Pope in front of him. I think he's too much like Joe Hart. He gets too geared up. He gets too mentally a bit weird. Yeah,
Cocky.
cocky. Yeah, he gets cocky. He gets too cocky, and it will hurt him. It will significantly affect his career. Roy Keane come out and said he's a bad goalkeeper. He's not a bad goalkeeper. He's a phenomenal shot stopper when he doesn't have to think about it. If he has to think about a situation, I worry. I do worry.
Absolutely.
That's my take on him. So, well, I won't keep you much longer. Is there anything you want to ask me? You know, this is your time. Is there anything you want to ask?
Well, what about you? What would be actually what would be your choice of signing? Would it be James Rodriguez or Jack Grealish at this moment in time?
Oh, this debate.
You see, I love the idea of James Rodriguez at Everton, but Jack Grealish is just much younger and probably has got a lot more left in his tank, which would be the reason why I would choose him over Rodriguez.
Yeah, I think for me, it as long as money is no issue, and obviously we have got to also think about now we've got Newcastle United who may also want to splash some cash this summer because it's like they're going to be taken over by a country. So, yeah, for me, Jack Grealish wins all day. Jack Grealish I think he's 24 years old.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's the standout English midfielder in the country at this moment in time.
Absolutely.
But he can score, he can pass, he can dominate a game, he can tackle, he can do everything. And equally, and what's more important in this debate, and the swaying factor for me, is he's a leader. He's a leader, and Everton lack leaders. Now, I do not think Rodriguez is a leader in the same way.
Absolutely.
And that's what Everton needs. Someone in the middle of the park who's prepared to take the ball by the horns and say, right, pick your socks up, boys. This is crap. Let's go. Let's crack on. And I hate saying this, and I don't want to say this too much because obviously we both despise them. But that's exactly what Steven Gerrard was for Liverpool.
Yes.
And if I can have a player with the same mentality as that, I'll be happy. Don't get me wrong, I don't like Gerrard, and equally I don't like Liverpool. But no one in a blue shirt can criticise Gerrard's mentality.
Absolutely not. You can't argue about it. But we don't have that player, you know. Like, understandably, we've had Gylfi. He's been given the captain's armband, but he's not the captain we need. Fabian Delph doesn't turn up. He doesn't seem to have that. Unfortunately, when we signed him, we thought we were getting a leader, and unfortunately, we haven't got that in Delph. Coleman, I don't think, is a good enough leader. I love Coleman to bits. He's my favourite player, but I don't think he's good enough to be captain in this time. We need somebody like Grealish that can lead the line, because Grealish is a game changer. He's the playmaker in midfield for Aston Villa, and I think we need somebody like him.
Yeah, I agree. I really do agree, and that's why I sway from James Rodriguez to Jack Grealish. Don't get me wrong. If Jack Grealish is not on the table and somebody offers me James Rodriguez for 30 million, I'll snap their hands off. But if Jack Grealish is available, even at an extra 20 million, it's money well spent.
Oh yeah, definitely. You'd be getting a world-class player in both of them, but I think the choice would be Jack Grealish. First of all, he's a leader, and second of all, much younger, probably got a lot left in him. In the top, he's a proven player in the Premier League. Like, he's had a brilliant season with Aston Villa, but unfortunately for him and Villa, it's not really worked out at the moment. So,
agreed. So yeah, Sam, is there anything else?
Actually, you gave me the question of my worst memory. What about yourself?
Yeah. Um, I've given this answer a couple of times, and then I change it. Because it's the one that affects me the most. But I tell you, the worst game I think I've ever, the feeling, the feeling this game generated was when Everton lost 5-1 against Atalanta at Goodison Park
Ooh.
under Koeman in the Europa League. Um, it was a game that we crashed out of the group. I think we might have needed to win that game just to have any chance.
No, I think what it was is that we were already knocked out, but we were
Yeah,
playing for pride.
yeah,
That's why the Goodson Park was practically empty at the time because nobody, went to go see that.
that's it. We got absolutely battered. We got battered, and it was by far the most embarrassing night I can remember. And I've been at some rough games. I've been there when Everton lost 4-1 to Arsenal at the start of the season. I've been there when we've lost 6-1 to Arsenal at
Yes.
the start of the season. I've been at Highbury when we've lost 7-0. The season finished fourth. I've been there. But that game was the worst game because Koeman just categorically proved to me that he shouldn't have been the Everton manager. And
Mhm.
I actually came on a video. I actually did a video after that game, and I was not nice to Koeman at all. Um, it was by far, that is by far the most, it was a feeling of sheer disappointment and hatred towards Koeman. It really
Yes.
was that bad because the team that was on that pitch that night, you had Klassen in left midfield. You had absolutely no pace in that team because he killed the pace. He took the pace out of that side and replaced it with Rooney, Sigurdsson, and Klassen, and it was shocking, um, and something that I'll never forget. I'll never forget that game.
Yeah, I think that match just shows you that we have so much hope in this Everton team, and then they just let you down in every single possible way. And that match hurt because obviously, like Liverpool are such a boisterous club. They may be the most successful club on Merseyside. That's especially in recent times. That's a fact.
Yeah,
But that match just shows you how pathetic a performance can be from Everton because you wouldn't see that from Liverpool nowadays. Maybe back at that time when we lost 5-1 to Atlanta, you would see that from Liverpool, but nowadays you don't. And
uh,
we still get performances like that sometimes from Everton. I point out to 2-0 Norwich at Goodison Park. Shocking performance. Maybe the scoreline suggests that it wasn't as bad of a match as Atlanta, but you can't lose to Norwich. It's
no,
pathetic.
it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad, along with the Sheffield United game and the Villa game. They were all pretty bad.
Aye,
Uh,
awful.
yeah, I think the fundamental difference is right now. It's just the difference in levels. Unfortunately, as of right now, and it will change because, in my opinion, we've got a better manager than Liverpool have. Um, it will change, but as of right now, yeah, Liverpool are better than Everton. And
Absolutely.
if they have a bad day, they'll get a draw. But if Everton have a bad day, we'll lose. That's the difference. But under Carlo Ancelotti, I cannot sit here and say, do you know what? I'm worried about Liverpool because I'm not. I'm not worried about Liverpool one jot because I genuinely believe that if you give me 2 or 3 years of Carlo Ancelotti being in charge, Everton will be a consistent top four to title challenging team. And I
Yes.
truly, truly, truly believe that.
We need to. I think Carlo Ancelotti will bring back the Everton that we've been looking for forever, because it's been a long time since we last. It's been a long time since we last had a team that we could look at and say, well, it's been brilliant. We've had some great matches from in the past few years. The 2013-14 season, the 1-0 against Man United Old Trafford matches like that were memorable, but they just didn't last under Roberto Martinez. So now under Carlo Ancelotti, I think we can show the Everton we've been looking for practically decades now.
Yeah, I genuinely completely agree. I'm really, really, really positive what the future will hold.
Yes.
So, so yeah. Well, Sam, look, thank you ever so much for coming on the channel. Obviously,
I'm delighted.
I'll be posting the links to your channel everywhere. So, I'll go onto your channel. I'll copy the screen. I'll make you your own little intro like I have been. So,
Thank you
uh,
very much.
yeah. Anything to say to anyone on the channel while you're there? Any final comment?
Well, obviously, I'm delighted to be on, of course. I really appreciate it. You've obviously helped Michael keep this channel going because he went through a few maybe tough spells over the past few months or years with this channel. If you can help support my channel, I'd really appreciate it. But keep on supporting Everton fan channels, and we can, grow a community together and so on. So, yeah, thank you. I'm delighted to have joined. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, good to hear it, Sam. Sam, thank you ever so much for being on. I really appreciate it, mate.
Thank you.
No worries. I'll speak to you soon.